Yesterday, I got this comment on my YouTube video that's all about how to produce social media content that's not Canva graphics. And honestly, I know this is a problem many of you are having. In this video, I'm going to go through the 5 core obstacles nonprofits have when it comes to doing your own marketing, and then I'm going to give you suggestions on how you can overcome them. Hi, I'm Kelly, the nonprofit marketing nerd, and I help nonprofit marketers just like you level up your digital marketing and storytelling online. Let's go ahead and dive right into our first obstacle, and I'm going to go ahead and call it marketing about vulnerable populations. And this comment right here, let me go ahead and read it for you. I think one of the challenges I'm facing working with nonprofit social media is that we're serving people that want to remain anonymous. I have to make sure to get creative on how I'm going to work around that. And I think that's a great point. Yes, one of the obstacles nonprofits have, and I've dealt with myself, is how to tell stories with issues of confidentiality, with issues of respect of client, with also issues of how do you tell a story about someone else in an ethical and respectful way. Now, let's go ahead and address that head on, and I will give you specific things you can do even if you're not allowed to show a face or tell a story of one of your clients. Now, when it comes to confidentiality, this is something I hear all the time, and I actually used to work in organizations that would claim we can't take pictures of our clients because of confidentiality. And if you've seen some of my other YouTube videos like this one or this one that are all about social media for marketing for nonprofits, I do go through and address exactly how to work around that in these videos. One of the core things I recommend is to really think, is this an organizational culture of kind of superficial confidentiality, or is confidentiality a necessity? Now, when we're talking about confidentiality, I'm going to go ahead and say actual names, actual faces, actual stories. And so if those are barriers that you really, really can't address, and I'm not saying that you don't want to address or your organization says you probably shouldn't, but like legally you are not allowed to, and there are certain situations where you're not or shouldn't, then I'm going to go ahead and address that at the end. But one of the things I will tell you with confidentiality is don't just take what was handed to you, because organizations are changing, people are changing, the way we deal with stories of humans are changing, and social media and authentic images are a way to truly connect and a way for your clients to be able to share the progress they've made and the success they've made. So first, when we're talking about confidentiality, make sure it's actually a thing. And one of the key ways you can work around if it's currently a thing but shouldn't be is to go ahead and do photo waivers on an annual basis during orientation, registration, or intake of a new client. Get that ahead of time, have people opt out if they do not want pictures taken of them, and have guardians opt out if they do not want pictures taken of whoever they are gardening. Whoever they are gardening, whoever they are guardians of. Now, one of the strategies I recommend, again, I've worked in very high stakes with reentry population, with adults with developmental disabilities, with children with developmental disabilities in the foster care system. These are all situations where it's a gray area, not only what confidentiality should be, but also like what it legally is. And so one of the ways you can address and really continue to tell your organization's stories or market the actual impact you make with specific stories is what I would like to call the strategy of the names have been changed to protect the innocent. You can tell a story and remove all details and maybe even change names to still respect privacy. And in terms of what information you change and why, again, this is storytelling. And often with stories, you are demonstrating impact. It doesn't mean that you have to be 100%, someone's going to attack me for this, 100% honest. So it's okay to have a little gray area here and tell a story where maybe you change the person's first name, you change the identity, maybe they transitioned out of prison and were in prison for one thing, and transitioned into welding, and you just pull it out and maybe don't say welding, but like, then got a technical degree and maybe change their first name. A great way to still tell an authentic story if someone wants to share but has issues with confidentiality is to use pictures of the back of people's faces that are representative of that human. Now, I would err on the side of make the person whose story it is a partner in the process, and chances are they're going to want to tell their own story. So let them. And again, the names have been changed to protect the innocent. The next thing with vulnerable populations you can do is share small successes. Another thing I will hear is not just the confidentiality, but like, we don't really have success. Our donors want to hear, which is just not true. Our donors want to hear about lives changed, and we just deal with trauma. And I've heard this time and time again from nonprofits, and then they tell nothing about the impact they make. But I hope if this is you, or if that comment resonates, and I'm sorry for the voice, if that comment resonates, I really hope you do some deep work about truly understanding the impact your organization makes. Get excited about it, and then share those small wins. It will connect with a potential donor. Your clients are having small wins, and you should be celebrating them. And honestly, that's what people want to hear. They want to hear the impact you make, whatever it is. So start to celebrate small successes. And then finally, if you're dealing in a space where you can't tell any real things, or change stories enough to protect confidentiality, and use stock images that are representative of it, all those things for some reason, and I've literally never heard of a place where this is true. But if it's the case that you cannot tell those stories of client impact, even if they're reframed or removing all information that would be an identifier, go ahead and tell stories about people that are connected to your organization. Now, if you've remained confidentiality, no story about any client ever, no matter how it's reframed, can ever be told, which I don't think is true. One thing you could also do, especially as you're getting buy-in from your organization to tell more stories, is to start to give voice and tell authentic stories of the people that make up your organization that maybe aren't your clients. So your volunteers, your staff, your donors, your marketing for a nonprofit. We're all about people. Even if your mission is not people focused, people carry out the mission, people do the work, people are what connects, people are who donates. So you need to start showing faces and voices and images of real people. So if it's not your clients, go ahead and refocus and reframe and start to tell stories of your volunteers, of your board members, of your staff. The second obstacle nonprofits have when it comes to carrying out their marketing is that they have no time to do marketing. So if you have no time to do marketing, but marketing is needed, I would start to look at what are your priorities. Where should you be allocating your time for an ROI? And if you're truly in a place where you have no time and maybe you're a one-man show and you can only provide direct services and all your bookkeeping is volunteer, all your everything is volunteer, I would look at reprioritizing where you want to be. Maybe my guess is you probably don't have a strategic plan because you should be allocating your time in accordance with your strategic plan or your operations plan and where you should be going. And my guess is that donor development, donor retention, volunteer recruitment, client intake, community expansion are probably somewhere in your strategic plan or one of your core pillars. And so you need to do marketing to get there. Now, what your marketing looks like might be different dependent on what your strategic plan is, but you need to be allocating time to get there. So if you haven't already, go ahead and watch this video that I recorded many years ago about how to get 10 hours back in your work week as a nonprofit professional. It's still relevant and it will still give you tons of tools and strategies to take back some of that time so you can reallocate it towards what your priorities should be. My next tip when it comes to, if you're one of those people that's like, yeah, that is my barrier. I know I need to do marketing, but we have no time to do it. In addition to looking at reprioritizing, is just to start to treat marketing deliverables like it's your job. In the same way that a meeting gets on your calendar and you spend an hour and a half doing it, and probably 10 minutes on each side of it chit-chatting with someone as you're going to and from the meeting, go ahead and treat marketing that way too. Block out 2 to 4 hours a week, have concrete deliverables of what you want to get done, and start to move your marketing forward. Again, if it's a priority, it needs to get done, and you need to treat it like it's part of your job. What often happens with nonprofits is that even below this, I hate to admit it, but it's true, that marketing activities, especially if it's something that's not a strength for you, goes to the bottom of your priority list, or you the if you have timeness that goes even after like chatting with people when you walk in the door. Like marketing is less of a priority in your brain, even though you know you need to do it. So bump it up on the priority list, say no to something so you can say yes to marketing and start to create that time and space. Now, I use a tool called FocusMate to do this. It's called body doubling, but I'm literally showing up for an online co-working with some other human being and telling them what I'm going to do for at least 2 hours a day. So I'll drop that link to FocusMate in the comments. I highly recommend that you start to find time to move your organization forward through effective marketing. Now, if you really can't find the time, wait till my last tip because it could be another option for you. The third obstacle nonprofits have is that they have no pictures and no video. So they're trying to do their marketing, but they've got nothing to work with. And a super quick tip, but I go through it in Social Propel really in depth. You can check out Social Propel in the link below. But the best thing you can do is to DIY a photo shoot for your organization, batch create a bunch of content that you can use for social media graphics, for flyers, for your website, for the next 6 months to a year. I've done it at every organization I've ever worked at. People are like, this is genius, Kelly. Like, why were we not doing this before? Like, every time I have some social media post I need to do, I already have the images to use, and it becomes a 20-minute task instead of a full day thing of having to drive to another center offsite to get pictures. I go through all the how-tos of how to conduct your own nonprofit photo shoot in week 6 of Social Propel, but the biggest thing you can do is to batch get pictures, even if it's just for 20 minutes a day, and then you can use those in the future for your marketing. The fourth obstacle nonprofits have, not when they do marketing, because honestly, some of these nonprofits that have this obstacle don't even realize they have a problem, and they're like all over the place. But the biggest problem I see with nonprofits who are maybe doing marketing but not finding many results, they tell people everything, so they hear nothing. And I would say it's the problem of no target audience. And I can like laugh at how cringy it is to me to see a nonprofit do this. A great example of a nonprofit that doesn't know who their target audience is. When I used to work for a developmental disability service provider, we would always post on social media on days that the organization was closed. And we would post the day of. It was really ironic because people would receive transportation. So if you're posting at 10 a.m., like our building's closed today, like people are typically getting on buses at 7 or 8 a.m. So it's already too late. Like, what does the notification do? The building was often closed because professional development. So like the administrative offices were still open to like the community as a whole. It was just programming wasn't happening. And I really got to the bottom of it. And it was just a problem where our target audience, especially for Facebook, was community members and potential donors. And most programming people had email lists, had text messages, were directly communicating, were handing out flyers ahead of time of days that were closed. And so we were talking to the wrong audience on the wrong platform. And this is a real problem nonprofits have. They tell people everything, they hear nothing, so they're trying to talk to their donors, their potential volunteers, they're posting everything for registration for people to come in the door. And what happens is this makes marketing activities happen, but like there's no effectiveness and there's often no growth or outcome. So you should have a goal with your marketing. What do you want to get from it? And if you don't have a target audience, chances are you don't know what to get and you don't know what success looks like for your marketing. And so a great way to overcome that is to figure out who your target audience is. I do this work with people I coach. It's often the first thing we do before you even start developing social media marketing strategy. But the first step is to figure out who your target audience is, and then you go figure out your target audience avatar, and then you go talk to that person. The final obstacle, and one I hear about quite a bit, is that you have no internal expertise to do the marketing. So I want to confess, I have no degree in marketing, but I do have 17 years of nonprofit marketing experience. I went, probably just like you, from being a program director into being a development director, into being a PR and development VP, into being a strategy and innovation VP, into being a marketing agency owner for nonprofits. It's where I am today. It's why I'm here talking to you. But I learned all the things by failing forward and probably by having a little bit of informal training and expertise. But We are all so busy, and chances are, maybe if this resonates with you, you don't have anyone in-house that really is an expert. Maybe they have opinions about marketing, and maybe they think they know what they're doing, but a lot of nonprofits, especially social service agencies that are smaller, do not have internal expertise. Now you have a couple different options on where you can go with this. One way to overcome that obstacle is to allocate money to either train someone to gain that expertise. Marketing is a trainable thing for the right person. So you could either train someone in nonprofit marketing. You could, if it's really part of your strategic plan, go ahead and allocate enough resources to hire a full-time person that is a nonprofit marketing person to do that work. Or finally, if you really have no internal expertise and you know you need to do marketing and it's in your strategic plan, a great option for you, and one I would recommend, would be to contract with an individual or an agency to come alongside and do your marketing for you. Now, again, marketing directors right now, I'm recording this in May of 2024, a really good nonprofit marketing director will probably be in a salary range of $90,000 to $120,000, and that's a lot of money. So you could look at, like we do, where we're more like fractional, so you can look at different options. I know there are great opportunities for contractors. We partner with nonprofits at Nonprofit Marketing Nerd as remote marketing coordinators and remote marketing directors, where we also do development consulting. And again, it's like, for us, it's like a quarter of the price of what you would be paying for a full-time person, and you're getting expertise of an agency. And this is something I would kind of warn you. If you're like, yeah, we're gonna outsource this, we're gonna hire a marketing person. You don't need a marketing person, you need a nonprofit marketing person. And there is a difference. And chances are, especially if you've been burned by agencies, you're going to these way overpriced, probably at a zero more money, super strategic, want to partner with these are used to partnering with small to mid-sized businesses with lots of advertising spend that have a different target audience, that have a commodity they're selling, and that's just a different language, purpose, goal than nonprofit marketing. So again, I hope this helped. If you had one of the 5 obstacles I talked about, or probably more than one of them, I really hope my tips help you to level up your social media marketing and storytelling online so that your organization can really connect and turn your target audience into raving fans. See you next week for another Nonprofit Marketing Nerd Out.